Well, welcome and hit the subscribe button, like, follow, comment for more here at the Critics Collective. Now, we're doing wrestling, okay? And I put a stipulation out there. I like to say a no holds bar kind of thing. 100 likes, not collectively on the videos because this will end really quick. No, one video, 100 likes, And while you're there, put who your favorite wrestler is in the comment and let's have a conversation. But if I get 100 likes, I've got to buy a WWE Championship belt. Now I'm thinking about the Wing Eagle, but there's a few others that's jumped up on my list right now, and I'm narrowing it down. Now, I don't even know why I started this challenge because these belts are fucking expensive. Now I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm not gonna buy the plastic one, though I should, because I didn't say which one. But dang, anyways. Where are my manners? This is the Critic Collective. I'm the Dad Panther, variety streamer, content creator, master of none. And today we're going to talk about It Was a Day to Remember. It was the 9th of November. Yes, it was. And that was the day that Vince screwed Bret Hart. And that ain't right. We're talking about Shawn Michaels, who was a hit man. Whatever Vince said, he did his hold. And when Earl lied, all of Canada was wronged. I just came up with that on top of my head. The original song obviously probably was Rolling Stone, Temptation, and there's a story of hurt and there's pain in the day that they used for his dad because the lead singer dad died on that day. And it was a day to remember, and it's an interesting thing. But I have 2 days saved in my calendar. It is that day, the actual day for the song, and it is the 9th of November, okay, 1997. It was the Montreal screw job, and we're talking about that today. Okay, we're talking about Dark Side of the Ring. It is episode 2 of season 1. Now, I don't know where you were. I remember where the hell I was when that happened. All right, I was 15ish, 15 or 16, something like that. Sitting around watching wrestling with my dad. My dad is the one that got me into wrestling, and watching what happened in this match. And I was still confused. 15, you don't know anybody's getting screwed. I mean, like wrestling, you kind of get stuff, bad guys, heels, low blows, ref didn't see it. You kind of start building up that idea of what's going on. But watching um, this was different. I didn't really understand what was going on. I just know my dad was way more pissed than I was. I was wanting Shawn Michaels to win. Mind you, Shawn and Bret are my two favorite at this time in my life. And just kind of seeing how this played off. Now I knew something was up, but I couldn't break it down anymore. Now today we're going to focus on this episode, and I'll go with my first impression. My first impression, what more can you show me about this match and the history of what's going on in this match leading up to this match, even because we've talked about the two other documentaries that we should have on here. One of them is sorry, it's Beyond the Mat, and the other one was that Bret Hart won something with shadows. I can't remember what it is, but for those, we already had kind of talked about how I felt about those documentaries, and even one of them getting a glimpse or a full side into kind of what Bret went through and his family went through after everything happened, that fallout, if you would. Now, this one takes a different turn. So, like I said, my expectation wasn't there. Now, I'll go into I can't really even say highs and lows. I'll just kind of go into a flow. So, a low would be Vince McMahon's office. I could be wrong, but when I watch stuff, I look at the background, whether I'm supposed to or not. And there is a scene where there's a piece of paper that says Vince's office, and right underneath it says women's dressing room. And nobody thought that was something to look at. It didn't say like other people, executives. It was just like, so that was in 97. And here we are now knowing what we know. I'm just saying. The other thing is it made me sad to say we need another Bret Hart documentary. Now I started looking for some documentaries, but it looks like the WWE moved about almost 10 documentaries away from um, the WWE's library of documentaries. You can see some of them I've seen before, but I like to rewatch stuff before I do a review. Now, the only thing I can think of, and I think this is what happened, is Vince bought Stampede. Okay, so Stampede was a kind of like WCW, ECW, Ring of Honor. It was its own promotion. And Stu, Bret's dad, Owen's dad, Bret bought some of them, the ones that had to do with him, but he didn't buy all of them. Stu sold them to Vince. And Vince never paid the exact amount, at least that's allegedly, the exact amount that was supposed to be paid for Stampede. So because WWE doesn't own Bret's collection of Stampede, which he bought from his mom and dad before they passed, those can't be shown on WWE. I believe so, something like that. Now, even though I believe Bret was put into the WWE Hall of Fame 2006, if I'm saying it correctly, and I think recently at WrestleMania 41 for the match against Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is a great match. It's just we need another Bret Hart documentary. I mean, something. Give us something. So, anyways, that's what it made me think of. The pluses, pros of this: Vince Russo and Jim Cornette. Okay, they're two guys that you may not agree with their thought process necessarily, but they're a part of some of the biggest storylines in times in wrestling. Respectfully, they've worked in tons of promotions. I won't say tons. They've worked in a lot of promotions, the big ones, and they've had their hand on the journey of the career of a lot of uh, professional wrestlers, regardless where they're at. It made me think these two hate each other so much. It would be a good episode to be like to tell their stories, how linear they are, right? And then kind of intersecting and making jabs at each other and just going from there. So I don't know. Maybe it's something to take a look at and see that it's interesting. Um, who came up with the plan? That was the other thing that was interesting. I'm not really gonna spoil anything because you might not have watched anything, but it was really interesting because they have that question that I don't think I've ever asked. Who came up with the idea of the screw job to execute it the way they did? And they talked about that. I thought that was interesting. Even for Scott Hall's perspective, rest in peace, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. But it was just a different idea that I never had, so I thought that was pretty cool. Um, it was real drama that I felt connected and really pushed the the initiative of the Attitude Era, because this is the part where you started to see um, things where, especially with Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out, where it's like, hey, Stone Cold's just a regular guy. He's one of us, and he's going up against the corporation. And so it felt like the walls between what Vince and his family were and what they were doing was blurring together. And then you had a lot of times where Bret Hart would have a promotion or promo, and he would be like, you guys are rooting for the generics, and you care about the rebels, and and it was like he was probably the first one to say degenerate the way he did, and degenerate was like, all right, okay, so what? And then what? A month later, Degeneration X comes out. So it just you started kind of feeding into those storylines, and they just became what they became. Some of the other stuff I like from it, I'm looking at my notes. Okay, so I had to say on wax is what the kids would say. They won't. The older kids would say on wax. I would not miss this opportunity to say what I would do if I was in the room where it happens. I would say to Brett and Sean, hey, listen, we're gonna put on a hell of a match. Earl's gonna be there as the referee. We won't change that. I'm talking about a banger of a match, because if you go back to that match still was a good match. It was like 10 minutes on the outside, another 10 to 15 on the inside. And again, it could have kept going because they had a great match set up. But point blank, I would have went out with this 5 out of 5 star match. And then once the match was done, Brett or gets to the finish, Brett would win by doing Sweet Chin music. This is what I'm doing. Bret Hart wins with Sweet Chin music. He wins, everyone's shocked, they can't believe it. And when he wins, it can go one or two ways. He either throws the championship belt down at Sean and takes off and leaves, and that's it. Or he throws about it, and British Bulldog Owen Hart comes in to stop him because Bret is beating the hell out of him, just literally just becoming full heel, making Sean a full babyface. To the point that Vince McMahon comes out and tries to stop him, and Triple H tries to stop him, and that's where you kind of get the birth of DX. Or um, Brett wins the match clean. Doesn't matter he wins the match clean. When he wins it clean, DX comes in, not DX at the time, but Triple H interferes and helps beat up Bret Hart. And they beat him up so badly, and they're getting booed. They're becoming a heel in Canada. So that's happening, and they just steal the belt. They steal the belt, and you don't see Bret on Monday. You just see them with the belt, and you question it, but it is what it is. So that's what I would have done with it. Now, as far as this series, I would rate this one a 5. I rate this a 5. I came out of here learning some stuff, but I was connected to the storyline. Like I said, two of my favorite wrestlers at the helm of it, hearing about the arguments, the fights, the sunny days, was something that kind of grabbed my attention 100%. I won't say kind of. There's other stuff on the series, and this is one of the better ones for season 1. So it'll be a 5 for me. I mean, put in the comments what you would rate it, but I would say it's a 5. Now, at the end of the day, hit subscribe button. Really, just hit the subscribe button. I don't have any spill for you. Just hit the subscribe button. You could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to be here. Until next time, kalika loud.